They feel that I have been an apostate or I have ruined the family name, and they don't speak to me. They really, literally don't speak to me. In my family and in my circle of friends, I don't see the symmetrical anger from the conservative, from the left.
Wait a minute, so
And
Victor, did I just hear you right? Did
what
you just say your family does not speak to you because they think you're an apostate?
Yes, they don't speak to me.
Oh
They
my
don't speak to me.
gosh, this is
And I have a
crazy.
twin brother. I mean, I have a twin brother that I love very much. He's a wonderful person, but he and his wife don't speak to me. And I've reached out, but they feel that I've misrepresented the family.
I love my father. He told me in the last election, if I vote for Trump, he's never speaking to me again. And I love him, but he said that, and that was really hurtful.
Is all on the left because of this. So in my family, when somebody wants to talk politics, they find there's a disagreement. The parties that say, I don't want to talk to him anymore, come from the left. I have no problem I have a lot of friends. I would say at the Hoover Institution, that is considered center right if you read its mission statement, I would say 45% of the fellows are either Democrats or going to vote against Trump. The Stanford faculty is about 90% or 95% going to vote for Harris, and that we are far more politically diverse and tolerant at Hoover than Stanford University is. If you were a professor at Stanford and you were openly conservative and you said you were going to vote for Trump, you would incur a level of personal hostility in far greater magnitude than if you were at the Hoover Institution and said you despised Trump and you were voting for Harris. We have fellows here who say that openly on social media. And when I read that a fellow Hoover colleague has said that Trump is a criminal, he's horrible, he should be in jail, it doesn't bother me. That's what we're supposed to do. I've never once in my entire life ever confronted anybody at Hoover and said, I'm not going to be friendly with you, or you shouldn't say that. I've never done that. That's happened to me a number of times.
This is my fifth such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy, or to make them stand, or smile, or applaud. Nothing I can do.
I grew up in a Democratic family, and my mother was, I think, the second appellate court judge in California, and she went to Stanford Law School, and she was, I think, the third person as a woman in 1946. Very strong, Harry Truman Democrat. I'm the only one in my family that was conservative. I mean, she was conservative, but in the old Democratic sense. I really love my family and my siblings and everybody, and I don't talk about them. And when people ask me about them or my family, I always say positive things about them because I feel that way. But they feel that I have been an apostate or I have ruined the family name, and they don't speak to me. They really, literally don't speak to me. It's something about Trump that they get obsessed at. We see it with the Never Trump people who, if they ask themselves, do I want to destroy my career? Do I want to renounce everything that I've advocated for 40 years? Yes, if it's Trump. And it's a derangement syndrome, as people have remarked upon.
And the Democrats are fighting it only because they want to fight. They have Trump derangement syndrome. You know, if it was somebody else, they wouldn't fight. If you had a normal person, if you had some stiff sitting behind you, they'd be fine. But they have Trump derangement syndrome. You know, Senator Schumer's become a Palestinian. Welcome. I don't know when they're going to give him the ceremony, whatever the ceremony may be. It's terrible what's happened to the Democrats.
Victor Davis Hanson, a renowned historian and conservative voice, recently shared a personal story that hits close to home for many Americans. His family, once tightly knit, now barely speaks to him. The reason? His outspoken support for Donald Trump. In a polarized America, Hanson's experience isn't just a footnote. It's a mirror reflecting a nation where politics tears families apart. A 2024 Harris poll shows 50% of Americans are estranged from relatives, 20% over politics. 1 in 7 rifts hit before the 2024 election. YouGov's 2021 data reveals 30% of Democrats might shun family for voting Republican versus 15% of Republicans for Democrats. In 2025, 22% blocked relatives online over politics. Families are splitting, and the fault lines often run left to right. A 2024 study showed 33% of Americans felt uneasy at family gatherings over politics, with liberals more likely to act on that discomfort.
They know people, and then they say, what happened to your... And they associate, in liberal circles or so. And so it's the same thing. And when you have a twin brother that you were very close to, and I don't want to go on because I don't want to draw undue attention to him, but in the sense it might hurt him or anything, but they feel that I, for the last 20 years, did not represent the Democratic and rather than saying, that's good, that's the way we were brought up. And my parents were wonderful parents. I idolize them, I still do. But it's the same idea that you were bad enough when you were conservative, but my God, you lent the family name to this person. How dare you do that? And I don't think they realize what they're doing, and their ostracism of a family member or how they react. In my family and in my circle of friends, I don't see the symmetrical anger from the conservative, from the left. When I see people in families and groups of friends that say they're going to vote for Trump, they don't get angry and say, I'm not going to speak to you if you don't vote for Trump. But I do see it asymmetrically. They believe that their ends are morally superior, and therefore the means necessary to achieve them are justified. If that means being acrimonious, rude, cutting people off, never talking to them, they will do. If that means on campus, you don't see conservative students doing what we're seeing.
And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way. For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
MSNBC's Joy Reid shaves her head after reporter trolls her for having Trump. It's gone. The Trump rug is officially out to pasture, or maybe getting beaten on a line somewhere. I don't know.
And second question, did you steal Trump's haircut or did he steal yours? Cultural appropriation haircut right there.
Aren't liberals supposed to be the tolerant ones? They champion inclusivity, empathy, and open-mindedness. Yet when faced with a Trump voter, even a family member, tolerance often vanishes. For many on the left, Trump represents a moral failing so grave that compromise feels like complicity. But the cost is steep. Families fracture, and the very unity they claim to value crumbles. Victor Davis Hanson's story is a warning and a wake-up call. When politics trumps family, we all lose. The data is clear, estrangement is rising, and the left's intolerance is a surprising driver. As Americans, we must ask, can we disagree without disowning? Can we rebuild the bridges politics has burned? Because if we can't, the divides in our homes will only deepen the divides in our nation.